and welcome to Kayla's World, Preptober edition. My name is Kayla Canoe. I'm an author, YouTuber, gamer, and aerialist, and today's video is the third video in my Preptober series. And the focus today is going to be basic outlining. So this is going to be a very generic, high-level outlining, which if for someone who doesn't like to do a ton of outlining, or if you're like me and you like to just do a little bit of outlining before kind of discovery writing along the way, this is kind of the information for you to get started. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. Starting out, I will say that for those of you who don't know, outlining will happen in a 3-act structure. And I should also go ahead and note that a lot of my outlining, if not all of it, is based off of Save the Cat Writes a Novel by Jessica Brody. This was a game changer for me. If you need help outlining, this book changed my life. Not even joking. It really helped everything just click for me. Between this and learning about character arcs, this is what really did it for me. So check it out, and I will be referencing some stuff in here, and maybe I'll even show some diagrams. And you guys can kind of see my boards behind me. They are actually sectioned off. Let me see if I can show the close one. See it? It's sectioned off into kind of 4 sections there, and that's because it's the 3-act structure with Act 2 being broken down into 2 parts. So if you guys don't already know this, when it comes to writing your novel, Act 1 should be about 1/4 of the length of your novel. Act 2 should be about half or 50% of your novel length, and Act 3 should be the other 1/4/25% of your novel. And when you add all those together, it's 100% one whole novel. So if you really want to get down to the nitty-gritty, you can calculate that based off of your word count and know roughly how long each section should be. So for me, who writes 100K fantasy novels, that means my first act is going to be about 25K words, my second act will be 50K words, and my third act will be 25K words, all to add up to 100K. Of course, there's a little bit of flexibility in there, but that is kind of the standard traditional 3 acts that you're going to have. Now, we're going to get into a little more detail as far as hitting those big moments for that structure. And we're going to start with the theme of your book. So the first thing that you're going to want to know for your outline or just for writing your novel is the theme. And I'm going to read off some theme options from this book. So themes could be things like forgiveness. So is the theme to learn how to forgive yourself, how to forgive others? It could be something like love, learning how to love yourself, learning how to love a family member, or, romance, right? That could be the theme, is falling in love. There's also acceptance, accepting yourself, accepting your circumstances, accepting your reality. Faith is also a theme, so if you have faith in yourself, if you have faith in others, in the world, maybe finding faith in God, that could be a theme of your book. Fear is a great theme. I like this theme. I use this one. Overcoming it, conquering it, and finding your courage. Those are all good themes. Trust, survival, selflessness, responsibility, redemption. Those are just some examples. I don't want to go too hardcore into those. But basically, that first kind of plot point that you're going to get is going to be the theme. And that is something that's generally stated in the first act of your novel. And let me see if I can find this graphic, because I want to show you guys. These graphics make a huge thing to me. This is what my boards look like, basically straight out of this book. So up here in Act 1, the big things is you'll want your opening image. So what does your character's life look like? That's something that you should show right out the gate. That's something you might want to outline, as in, where are they starting? Write that down. Write that scene card down, whatever it is. You also want the final image, which is where is it ending, and then the theme. So where we're starting, where we're ending, and what is the theme of our book. Those are kind of the first 3 places that I always start when outlining. Now, along the way, you do have about, I don't know, 3 or 4 kind of big moments. And so that's kind of where I break between my basic outline and my detailed outline, is that my basic outline is basically just hitting all of the big moments. The opening, the theme, the ending, and then we have the catalyst, which is basically that part in the first act that forces your character to change, or that moment when they decide to make a change. It's what kind of sets them off on their journey. So that is what the catalyst story beat is for. It's that inciting incident. It's that thing that just shoots the story forward and gets your character moving on into Act 2. Now, in Act 2 is like the really long part, okay? And there's a lot of stuff going on in Act 2, but about halfway through Act 2, you're going to have your midpoint. And at the midpoint, you're going to have, again, another, might not be as big as the inciting incident, and it's definitely not going to be as big as the all is lost moment, but it's going to be a moment in the novel where your character either experiences a victory or a defeat, and then the story will progress from there. So if they have a victory, like let's say they won the spelling bee, something's looking up for them, right? From that point forward, for the rest of the, second act, everything's going to kind of go downhill, right? However, if they experience a midpoint defeat where they lost the battle, things might start going a little bit better for them after that. And then they will come into the all is lost moment. So the midpoint victory or defeat is really important because it's kind of setting the tone. So you want to make sure that you hit that. So you want to know what that is in your basic outline. It's okay, this is where I started, my opening image, this is my theme, and then this is my inciting incident that gets me going into the second act. And then halfway through the second act, okay, are they winning or losing, and what is the second half of the second act going to look like? Is it getting slightly better before plummeting for the all is lost moment, or is it getting like just progressively worse and worse and worse until the all is lost moment? And if you guys don't know, the all is lost moment is very much like the whiff of death, the soul crushing defeat. It is that thing, that camel's back broke moment where your character can no longer keep trying to fix things the wrong way. They've hit rock bottom and they have to change. And I also like to include the Dark Night of the Soul scenes when I do my basic outline. That is a little bit more detailed, but I like to kind of add in the dwelling in the sorrows and figuring out what they need to do to set things right going into the third act. So that's kind of the key thing. Honestly, I think the all is lost moment is kind of where I start. In fact, I'm like, all right, this is the soul-crushing moment. Okay, let's figure out all the other stuff. It is probably my favorite thing, the all is lost moment. And then we have, generically, I think you could include a bit of the finale or the third act, as in, for me, writing fantasy, sometimes I would just, for my basic outline, I will just know what the third act, like, final boss fight is, right? So I might be like, okay, the general climax, you'll want to kind of outline your general climax of, this is my all is lost moment, my person has defeated, and then this is kind of my climax or my big boss fight and what that's going to look like. And then you'll want to also have your final image and where the end of your book is kind of occurring. But yeah, and I will show this graphic again if this is helpful for you guys. This is super helpful for me as far as kind of just seeing all the different story beats. I am going to do another video that's going to get more into detail about all of the other story beats and all of that. So be on the lookout for that. That is going to be the next video in this Preptober series. But I just wanted to kind of keep it a little bit more generic to start, to give people who, you know, outlining is a long and intense process, and we don't want to get, you know, overwhelmed. So just start out with where you want the story to start, where you want the story to end, and then think, okay, well, what do I want my theme to be? Pretty generic, right? And then the big moments. What is, and the big moments are usually the easiest ones to like think of, the easiest ones to write. Like, okay, what is gonna get this farm boy to leave his home? Maybe the whole town gets set on fire. Maybe he finds out that he needs to carry this magical ring somewhere. Maybe his parents died and now he has to go live with someone else because he's underage, right? So there are all kinds of inciting incidences. And then after that, we have kind of that midpoint part, right? The midpoint victory or defeat. And like I said, maybe they won the spelling bee, and, you know, after all this other stuff happening, they're like, all right, cool, I had to leave my home, but I'm doing well in school. Or maybe they, you know, they failed a math test. That could be a defeat. Their relationship with a friend improved or went the opposite. You know, there's all kinds of different things you can do for a victory defeat at the midpoint. And then you really want to know that all is lost moment. What happens to really crush your character into the ground? Maybe their parent died. Maybe their friend died. Maybe their lover died. Maybe just a whole bunch of people died. And now they're like, okay, everyone's dead. What do I do? Yeah, I'm a dark fantasy author, so there's usually a lot of death around the always lost moment, or part of the person is dying, you know, self-reflection and all. And then if you want to add in, just think about, what do I want my climax to look like? Do I want a big fight? Do I want a big like this big moment where you're like running down the aisle to catch your lover? What is that running through the airport thing? Maybe that's what I want my big boss fight to be, is me fighting through the crowd to stop my lover before he gets on the plane to leave. But that's just kind of, you know, more of a generic, what is my climax? What's my big bad? Big climax, and then where it all ends. But yeah, so that is what I have for you guys for kind of basic outlining. Let me know if you like this video, if this is helpful for you. If you guys have any questions for me, drop them in the comments below. Feel free to also drop them in the Discord. If you guys need help in your Preptober journey, I run a NaNoWriMo Discord. It is linked below. We have all kinds of events going on, be it live streams, sprints in the chats, to help you guys stay motivated and work together. So you guys can check all of that out. We are here for you. Come join us. It's kind of like a writing cult, but it's not a cult, I swear. But yeah, so that's what I have for you guys today. If you haven't already, check out my previous videos, my previous Preptober videos. I'll link those below. But that is all that I got for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed your time here in Kindle's world.